up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tyler Level, let two guys talk sports. Let's rock and roll. First of all, I want to apologize for not doing a Waxon Wednesday last week. Forgot to remind you guys on the last podcast that in addition to me and Tyler being gone for this previous week, on Friday at least, I was in Alabama for all about until Friday this past week, so I didn't have my laptop with me, so I didn't do a Wax on Wednesday, but I do apologize for that. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. I was catching some fish in Alabama and spending time with the family there, of course. So just want to elaborate on that. Sorry for not doing a Wax on Wednesday video. I was on break. But I am back this week, and I'm going to start off with some draft talk, or mostly Bears draft talk. Okay. Could not have asked for a better first pick. All right, my hope was address the defense, go either defensive line or edge rusher, and I would even settle for someone in the secondary. And then I was kind of like, okay, I like the prospect. I kind of thought the Bears would go Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri, but Dylan Thieneman fell in their laps. And Dylan Thieneman, he's one of the best prospects available. So I'm thinking to myself, I would be happy with Zion Young. But if Dylan Thieneman is available at 25, the Bears should take him. Former Boilermaker, of course, played for Oregon in his last season of college before declaring for the draft. And I just got to say, I was so happy the Bears got Dylan Thieneman. They not just that the Bears add a depth piece and a former Boilermaker to their roster, but hey, we need all the pieces we can get on defense. And honestly, that was the best player the Bears could have taken in the first round. And the fact that Dylan Thieneman fell right to the Bears at 25, all they had to do was just wait and let him fall into his lap. Easiest pick ever. Great pick by the Bears. It was an A++ pick. It makes the secondary a lot stronger. Address the defense. And Dylan Thieneman, he's fast, he's athletic, he's a ball hawk. He's perfect for the Bears. The Bears love their takeaways. He likes getting takeaways too, so he's perfect for that. That and adding that speed and athleticism, which is a must in the NFL. That was the best part for the Bears draft. Great pick. The rest of the draft, meh at best. The rest of the draft, it felt like the Bears went mostly offense. Now, getting the center, I liked the center out of Iowa. Getting him with their first, second round pick, okay, I don't blame him at this point. Caleb needs all the protection he can get, and I almost forgot the Bears actually had, I believe it was one of their offensive line, starting O-linemen, actually retired this season. So the Bears actually had a need at offensive line. So, hey, got to protect Caleb at all costs. That's a pick I don't hate. The rest, getting a tight end with their second round pick, and then the first pick of the third round, they get a wide receiver. That I was just like, what the heck are we doing? Why? Now, the tight end they got was more of a blocking tight end, so I guess more O-line protection, but that still didn't make any sense. And I kind of figured the Bears are set at wide receiver. We don't need another pick. I know we lost DJ Moore to free agency, but we really don't need any more wide receivers at this point, do we? So I was just kind of like, what in the heck are the Chicago Bears doing? I think what it simply comes down to is a number of things. The thing is, from what I understand, aside from a few first-round pick, aside from the guys at the first round, many of the guys who entered this draft on defense, many of the guys who played defense in this draft may not have been the best, may have not have been guys that really were going to make a difference in the long run for the Bears. With a few exceptions, like I mentioned Zion Young, and there was another guy. The Bears were looking at those guys, and it wouldn't have surprised me if the Bears were looking to trade up to get him and just wasn't able to. There were other teams that wanted guys like Zion Young much more than the Bears did. And once those really good defensive guys were off the board, I think the Bears kind of felt there wasn't a whole lot of high prospects on the defensive side of the ball left. They did address some of their defensive needs in the later rounds, like rounds 5 through 7 or 4 through 7, but I would have liked to have seen the Bears go at least one player on defense in the second and third rounds, but just wasn't meant to be. Again, not the best decisions, I think, in the second and third rounds, but if I had to guess, the Bears probably felt that most of the talent on the defense was off the board by the time it was their turn to pick in the second round, and they just weren't able to trade up and acquire a really good defensive piece for like the defensive line or an edge rusher, and or just they weren't thinking that way. Either or. I mean, again, super happy with the first pick. The rest of the draft, that was the highlight though of the Bears draft, if you ask me. Getting back to the postseason will be tough for the Chicago Bears. Because they really didn't because their high picks, they didn't really use, most of their high picks, they didn't really use on defense. I was expecting them to go all defense on this draft. But it is what it is. Again, like I said, getting back to the draft, back to the playoffs this season for the Bears, it will not be easy. A lot of work to do there, and we just got to hope that some of these late round picks that the Bears had on defense are able to step up and immediately make an impact, as well as some of the guys they're counting on to take a big jump in their second year. We'll find out. And then there's the story of Diego Pavia or Pavia, or however you pronounce his name. But the loudmouth quarterback out of Vanderbilt. So he ended up having one of the biggest draft day slides in the history of, the NFL draft, Ended up not getting drafted at all. The highly touted quarterback out of Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, ended up, here's the thing. I kind of thought he might have a slide, but I was shocked. I'll admit I was a little shocked that he didn't get drafted at all. But I shouldn't have been too shocked, admittedly. But I'll list some of the reasons why Diego was not drafted by any teams in the NFL. Disclaimer, he did sign an unrestricted free agent contract with the Baltimore Ravens, so he'll be a backup there, or he'll at least get to try out for the Baltimore Ravens, and that's good for him. But I think some of the reasons Diego did not get drafted, one, of course, is, his personality and all the things he's done in the past. And I recently just learned, this was a quarterback who actually decided to take a whiz on on his rival's logo when he was at, I believe, New Mexico. Before the game between New Mexico and New Mexico State, he decided to go into New Mexico State's practice facility and decided to urinate on it or to take a piss on it. And video leaked of that. Like, bruh, what are you doing? Come on, that's way too far. And that kind of baggage just followed him his entire career. Obviously, not afraid to speak his mind about some things, and obviously, there's also the fact that he decided to badmouth the Heisman voters and said screw Indiana, middle fingers. He was partying afterwards, middle fingers flying everywhere. Like, talented quarterback, okay? But here's the thing. The NFL does not take kindly to arrogance. The NFL does not take kindly to loudmouths. The NFL, if you're a loudmouth, you can't be a loudmouth on approach to the NFL draft. Because if you are, the NFL will humble you. That is plain and simple. Or if you have someone being a loudmouth for you, the NFL's going to humble you. I mean, we think about Shedeur Sanders last year. He didn't get taken until the final day. But at least he got drafted. Diego, he ran his mouth too much. And NFL teams made sure to send him a message like, hey, you're going to be a loudmouth. We're not even going to consider drafting you. We're not even going to think about giving you a call or whatever you want. That's probably the big reason why he didn't get drafted. But there are a number of other reasons. One, his height. I mean, he's below 6 feet. It's tough when you have a hard time seeing over your offensive lineman. Or when you're that short, you got that disadvantage. But, hey, that didn't stop guys like Drew Brees. And I'm certain that won't stop a guy like Diego Pavia. Sorry, guys, I am struggling to pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry, Mr. Diego, for Mr. Diego Pavia or Pavia. Okay, Diego Pavia. I finally got it figured out. Sorry, it took me so long. Diego, I do apologize to him. So, when it comes to Diego Pavia, basically, I mean, his size could be seen as a disadvantage. So that's one thing. So that's size. And I think a lot of people are going to be worried about, kind of other things like the athleticism too, and the slow speed. And also, actually, I take that back. It's not the slow speeds or the athleticism they're worried about. NFL Point number 3, the NFL is worried about his inaccuracies. Like, can he throw the ball really well at the NFL level? I mean, it's tough enough when you're not the tallest quarterback, but you got to be super accurate. You can't teach accurate. I mean, it's hard to, build accuracy. So there's a couple different reasons. The reasons why Diego Pavia did not get drafted in the NFL: ego and height, as well as accuracy. Simple things. And here's the thing: NFL teams, they want to draft a quarterback that could use. I mean, okay, so ego can be a good thing if you use it right. But Diego's known to let his ego slip a few too many times, and that scared off NFL teams. They don't want to another Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell. They want to go. I don't think Diego's going to be one of those guys. I think he is. He can be. I think he is a team player. He's just a loudmouth, and I don't think he'll be a bust in that matter. It's just a matter of, and you know what? I think he's going to have he's going to have a good chance to prove it with the Baltimore Ravens. And you know what? If there's one thing I've learned about Diego Pavia, it's that he likes being doubted. And I think him going undrafted, that'll be good for him. I think because it not only gives him a chance to prove himself, but he'll be more hungry and more motivated. And from what I've learned, guys like Diego, they rise to the occasion when they are hungry and motivated. I have no doubt he's got great abilities and can play the quarterback position very well. Obviously, accuracy is going to be a question mark, as well as, can he see, will his size hinder him? And mostly, can he keep the ego in check? I mean, the guy he likes the spotlight. That is the biggest thing I can tell you about Diego Pavia. He loves the spotlight. But if he can use that to his advantage rather than have it be a detriment to the team, he might just have a chance in the NFL. We'll find out. But ego and height and, of course, accuracy. Those are 3 big reasons why NFL teams passed up on Diego Pavia in this year's NFL draft. I hope he shines, though. And I think he can do well in the NFL and can find a starting job in the NFL as long as he keeps the ego in check. And finally, all right, I'm going to do a quick reaction. Me and Tyler Lovelet, we'll be talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs this upcoming Friday. But I just finished watching Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in Game 6 of the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I thought the series might go to 7 games. Not to be. But congrats to the Philadelphia Flyers and their fans. They hung in there in Game 6. I mean, they won games 1 through 3. And then it was looking like Pittsburgh was going to pull a reverse sweep. Pittsburgh won games 4 and 5. And then I was watching overtime. It was all Pittsburgh in overtime. They were attacking the net. Until then, Philadelphia kind of flipped the script a little bit, attacked the net, and kept on attacking. There was one point where I thought they scored, but it turned out the goalie stick had actually just was at the point where it bounced off the ice and actually stopped the puck. That was incredible. But in the end, Philadelphia was able to find a way to score a gnarly of a goal and a game-winning one to send them to the next round and set up a date at a series with the Carolina Hurricanes in the next round. So happy for the Philadelphia Flyers. It's their first home playoff. It's their first playoff series win or home. It's their first playoff series clinching win at home. Let's try saying that 5 times, man. First playoff series win at home since 2012. And now they're on their way to the next round. And Philadelphia, they've been struggling a lot in the last few years, but they've put together a really solid core. A good young core. Obviously tonight they've overcome Pittsburgh, led by Sidney Crosby, who did just about him and Evgeny Malkin doing just about everything they could to lift this Penguins team to the next round, but wasn't meant to be for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But happy for the Flyers and their fans. And all right, the orange and white of Philadelphia moving on to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Going to be a tough series. But this Flyers team, they're a good young team. Future looks pretty bright for them. And it wasn't looking pretty for them early in overtime, but they found the way. Tough team, resilient team. And they hung in there and got themselves a well-earned playoff. Not only a playoff win, but a well-earned series win against your most hated rival, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Battle of Pennsylvania in this year's postseason is over. It ends in favor of Philadelphia and their Flyers. But tell you what, Carolina, they might have their hands full of this Flyers team. We'll find out. All right, sports fans, on to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 29th of April, we're going way, way back to 1751. That's right. On this day, 29th of April, 1751, the New York Gazette and Postboy carries the first public report of a cricket match played in America. New York Exile versus London Exile, or New York 9 versus London 9 on the site of what is today the Fulton Fish Market in Manhattan, New York City. So pretty much the first report of a cricket match played in the United States, and it was played on the site of what we know today as the Fulton Fish Market in Manhattan. How about that? One of the earliest signs of sports history in the United States, and it goes back all the way to the year 1751. Crazy stuff. All right, sports fans, that's all I got for this week. And me and Tyler Lavalette, we will see you this Friday for another exciting Friday Roundtable. Thanks for watching, and thank you for all your support. Me and Tyler greatly appreciate it. This is Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports, wishing you all a good night.